Let it like
Pause.
organically come.
Pause. Timeout. Whoa. Throw the flag. Flag on the play. Well, welcome back, everybody.
You ready? Is it
Oh
on?
yeah, I'm ready. We're recording
Oh shit.
already. This is what's funny about it.
What's up? What's up, guys? It's Gia McCool.
And it's your boy Glenn Lawrence, and welcome back.
Yeah, today we're talking to one of the most misunderstood words in masculinity, and that is dominance, okay? A lot of men think that dominance means loud, harsh, right? Emotionally aggressive. You see online, like all this bravado, right? But most of the time, what they call dominance is really insecurity, performance, and instability. And women can smell that on you guys. So that's why today we're going to be breaking it down. It's not about controlling somebody else, okay? It's about controlling yourself first. It's about self-control. It has grounded leadership, direction, presence, consistency. It's the ability to create safety and structure without force, okay? And today, one of the biggest mistakes that we're going to be talking about is how men tend to try to be dominant, but it's not really dominance, right? And what real masculinity dominance actually looks like, that's what we're going to be exploring today.
Yeah, because that's the problem. Too many men want to appear like they have the authority without the discipline that makes real authority. I mean, if you can't control your emotions, your reaction, your impulses, or your life, then you're not dominant. You are unstable, like really unstable. And real dominance starts with self-mastery, because real dominance is not domineering. It's not intimidation. It's not performance. It's leadership, it's clarity, it's standards, it's consistency. And if a man if for example, if his health is sloppy, his purpose is unclear, his finances are chaotic, and his frame changes every time there's pressure, then no amount of acting tough is going to make him respected. So today we're going to get into the mistakes men actually make when they're trying to be dominant, and what it actually looks like when a man's grounded in discipline and has control of himself. And to help us with that, we have my friend, Mr. Justin, who is a relationships dynamic coach, a writer who specializes in the psychology of dominance, submission, and the polarity of relationships. So, Gia, are you ready?
Let's do this.
Let's
Ready.
do it.
Let truth on fire. They're calling out the world's desire. From fake ideals to moral decay. They're lighting up the modern age. No one's safe, not the church, not fame. They're flipping the script, rewriting the game.
He was just here.
I am here.
What's up,
There he is.
Justin?
How you doing,
Hi there.
Mr. Justin?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Nice
Thanks
to
for
have you.
joining us. So, let's start here. When you hear the word dominance, what do you think most men get wrong about it right out the gate?
Well, I think that it comes from a misunderstanding. It comes from ignorance, and I don't really blame guys or anybody really for being ignorant. But what I do blame guys for is not solving the ignorance by educating. And so it's largely due to a problem of miseducation and due to watching people whom they think is dominant online and maybe picking up cues from film, things like that, and then also watching porn and thinking that's what domination is. And the funny part is that it actually can't be visually displayed. It's very, very difficult to visually display true dominance because it's all things occurring psychologically and emotionally between the two people. So a porn scene that's true dominance would look quite boring.
That's interesting. We definitely have to get more into that. So
I really want to follow up question that, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, we're gonna have to touch on that. So like when you what do you think so many men confuse with dominance, like when they tend to be more like aggressive or they want to control or they want to use intimidation, like why do they confuse this with leadership?
Well, because they don't understand the motivations. And that's the biggest difference, I think, is motivation. And this comes about with so many different things. Like for example, like just a quick deviation. Guys will say, "Oh, if you give a woman flowers to take her out to dinner, that's simping." Okay, the act itself isn't exactly anything. It has no meaning whatsoever, but it's the motivation. You have guy A, guy B. Guy A is totally insecure. Guy B is very nonchalant, totally grounded. They both take a woman out to dinner, give her flowers. One has a motivation that is totally skewed, and the other one does not. And the same sort of thing has to do with domination. Um,
So you're talking about
it's not the acts involved, it's really the motivations behind it. And what I've found is that the guys who have the wrong idea, their motivations are usually pushed by fear. And and what they're trying to do is set something up so that they can protect their emotional state. They don't want to feel emotional pain, and that's where the reaching for control comes from.
So do you think it's like it's a form of covert contract?
Yes, but mutated, because they're like, I'm going to do something about this to ensure. So like the nice guy, he tries to ensure it by being really nice, and it's coercive. This version is like, no, I'm going to take things and make situations in such a way that produce the same outcome, which is my emotional safety.
Gotcha. So would
Yeah.
you say like the biggest issue is that, a man trying to look dominant instead of actually being dominant? So it's more internal than it is external.
For sure. Yeah, it's funny. Like that was mentioned, and I couldn't help but think of this recent clip that I saw. I can't remember where, but it showed this. It was just a criticism of modern society, and it shows these guys lifting, and the voiceover said that we are becoming a culture obsessed with looking like we work hard. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, holy shit, that's why we go to the gym. Because like long ago, when we were like chopping down trees by hand, lifting stones, moving things. Like people were fit naturally due to life.
Yeah.
Now
Everyday
we
life. Yeah.
have to create fitness. You know what I'm
It's
saying?
funny.
Like
My husband,
artificially.
my husband has said that for years. He's always said that.
Right. So it's like we're manufacturing the look like we work hard, but we actually don't. We go to this specialized place to
We spend an hour a
manufacture the
day.
image.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you manufacture the image of like, haha, look at me. I do things, but you're not really. You know what I mean? So it's like in the same way. It's like it's projecting this image of I'm competent, right? But
Mm.
we all know that like there's many different muscles, and that's why we see like bodybuilders completely fail in strongman competitions. You know what I mean? So
I
so
know a lot of
it's
bodybuilders that failed at changing a tire.
sure. but the thing is that it's not an image sort of thing, and it's understandable because we're a culture that is constantly being pushed towards an image mentality, and if I can pull off the look, then that means I can convince people and myself that I'm that thing. And the funny thing is that if you ever go to a munch, and for those of you who don't know what that is, it's in the BDSM circle. It's basically like a casual meeting of the minds. It's like a hangout for people who are into the scene, but it's non BDSM-y, right? So it's people of same interests and things like that, but they're not meeting up to do
There's
anything.
there's like public
Yeah, regular
it's like they're
clothing.
getting coffee or
Yeah,
something.
coffee, beers, shoot the shit or whatever, but just with like-minded people. And you look around, you're like, oh, so like not every girl looks like a perfect model. No. Like not every guy looks like Christian Grey. No. and you see the dudes, you're like, this like portly, short dude is a dominant, and he has like women answer to him. Like pardon me, like women answered to him like top to bottom, through like consensual trust and all that stuff. But you wouldn't expect it just by looking at the guy. Like this guy looks like, like Danny DeVito. How is he dominant?
Yeah, me and Gia were wondering why is it always the ugly ones with like the fat heifers, always the ones into like all these kinks. But like that's another story, We were
It is.
it's like they gotta add like the extra added value. Like
No,
there's never like
if you do some research on it, you'd find that far more people are into kink than they would actually like to admit. Tons, like most people have some kind of kink.
I know, like, and I did a show recently, and we were talking about how because of social media, we have this. People now are in a competition mode, right? They're always like comparing themselves to other people, or they're competing with other people, and because of this, we're not actually doing what we want to do as individuals. We're just comparing ourselves to people who seem to be liked on social media or seem to have status in social media. So when you take out that performance and you take out that competition, what would real dominance look like? Can you give me an example of a masculine man that would actually be able to exude that without the performative end?
Well, that's the thing. It's not, it becomes less visual at that point.
Mhm.
So one of the things that I tell all of my students that when they first join my school, the Dominance Academy, they have to stop engaging with social media completely for an entire month. They need to just wash their brain of that influence, because what happens with I don't focus on women, like, who they don't come to me for dominance. So it's really just men. But so I tell my guys that what happens is that their mind gets fractured. Okay. So you have like this consciousness, like here, me, my body, this, my consciousness. And then I have this consciousness out here with the rest of the world online. And it's this fractured mind. Okay. It's this fractured consciousness that I'm aware of these two or multiple. I've got my TikTok consciousness, my YouTube consciousness, all these fractured consciousnesses. And it's sort of like weakening the central pillar, sort of like Lord Voldemort when he like split up his soul. Okay. So it becomes less powerful because it's not concentrated. So I'm like, listen, you got to cut all of these things out, because when you get fractured, it allows openings for influence. Okay. Because you're increasing surface area. You know what I'm saying? Like if you want to like break apart a melted piece of ice, that's a big chunk, you break it up so you have more surface area and then it can melt easier. So it's the same idea with your consciousness. The more fractured it is, you have the more surface area, the more influence that can occur, and then it becomes weaker. And so I tell my guys, they got to cut all that shit out in order to kind of drain out the influence, and draining pus from a wound. And then they can start listening to themselves, because when there's so much distraction from the competition and from the influences, it's really hard to listen to what really is going on inside you. And that's where all the problems are. So you're asking, what is the effect? The effect is actually something incredibly calm. And I tell my guys, they don't believe it, but I never have thoughts in my head. Like I'm like a fucking bimbo. There's no thoughts in my head at all, except when I want there to be. So I basically treat my brain like a tool. I can turn it on and off at will. So if I want to figure something out, I turn it on. If I don't have something to figure out, planning or collaborating or whatever, I flick it off. And I'm at complete peace most of the time, like unless I'm working, like, and that's it. And so the result actually is this tremendous sense of calm. And so what does that look like in behavior? There's less fidgeting. There's less reaching for distractions. Like you can literally just do nothing and feel no anxiety. So a lot of it, you're looking for like, what does it look like? It's more like, what does it feel like?
So it would be hard to give
So it's
an
not like hard to like,
example of somebody as an analogy.
Well, they wouldn't be paying attention to other men, that's for sure.
they're just like, they're just in their own world.
Yeah.
In that sense, like nothing's affecting them. They're not
Right. Like
not
why go to
impacted
other
by-
worlds when my world is the best world?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But not out of competition, but just like this is the most comfortable place I can possibly be. Why would I want to put my mind, my consciousness somewhere else where it can be influenced and warped and changed and all that stuff?
Is that a
Unless by
competency,
will,
right?
Sorry?
It's more out of competency.
Yeah, that's part of it. Like being competent with regard to like your own mental faculties, like keeping down mental chatter and things like that. And really the effect, okay, Gia, you're asking about effects. The effect is greater on other people because, we're talking about like, say, like how women, and when you're saying like they can pick up on these sort of things, they can pick up on your sense of like immovable calmness. And in my school, I talk about developing the mountain mind. And so when you develop this mountain mind, it's just this cool, heavy, grounded presence. And it's not erratic. It's not unpredictable. It's immovable. So she's like, oh, like maybe she'll like test it here and there just to see if it's real. And he's like, like he just doesn't really move. but not out of stubbornness or resistance, because does the mountain resist the wind? No, not really. It just is. And she's like, I don't really know how to handle this. And that starts challenging her behavior and encourages her to like settle into his framing, if you want to call it that. And so the effect is that other people around you become more calm as a result of your stillness.
Yeah.
Yep.
So how would you define the difference between domination and domineering?
Well, like I said before, it's about reaching for control. Because someone who's domineering they're motivated by fear. They're motivated by fear and the avoidance of pain. And that's typically like what most people are geared towards. They're like, I want to go towards pleasure and away from pain. And that's how we have our advertising. That's usually how advertising is geared.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of how we're wired. And then, marketing advertising takes advantage of that natural impulse. So, that's what their motivation is this they've got this fear inside, and they're like, okay, how do I prevent that pain from happening? I'm going to grasp. So I'm going to tell her, you're not allowed to go out alone. You're not allowed to have girls' night unless I'm with you. I think I've even heard like Andrew Tate say something like that. Like, she's not
We're
allowed
going to
do
get into
anything
like we actually
by
got to get
herself.
into that next. So we have a question about that coming up next. So
Okay.
you may want
But
to.
yeah, so like this idea of like I'm going to control, but really the fear is like, I'm afraid of another man's dick. I'm afraid of some other man doing something. So I'm going to exert this control and then put it under the name of for your best interest, when it's really my own best interest. You know what I'm saying? And that's the difference between, that's what domineering looks like. Domination is more so an invitation. And it's saying, hey, we've got organization, we have structure, we do have rules over here. You're welcome to come in here, but understand everything will be laid out clearly for you. If you want to join this is what it is. You do not have the power to change it, but if you don't like it, you can speak up and then we can discuss things, or you can leave. And it's really that simple. It's like joining a university or a business or something like that.
Yeah,
you can speak up about stuff and make your concerns known, but but the student has no power to change what the university has been doing. You know what I'm saying?
They have the power to stay or go. Like there's nothing there keeping them there. You're not forcing them to be there. You're letting they choose to be there. Therefore, they choose to play that role that they're in while they're there.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, like, remember I was talking about the effect of stillness, and it will draw your woman in. The funny thing is that when you apply free will to that, so you say, hey, you know what? No, go have fun with your friends. Go, you know what? I want you to go talk to other guys. I want you to go on dates with it. And that open door free will sort of thing, it's I guess maybe it's reverse psychology, because they're like, wait a second, why isn't he trying to control me? Like Bob and Steve and Alan.
Do you think that's what like what's his name? Jack Murphy tried to do when he wrote that article?
I'm not familiar.
Oh man. So he wrote, it's known as the Cuck article. And he talks about like how he sent his wife out or his girl out on a date. Like he encouraged her. He's like, go out there, go see what's out there. Like you were saying. And she was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, in this whole article is talking about how he was eagerly, excited for when she would leave and when she would come home, and to me, just like, I was like, I don't know if this is the right one, but you were just explaining that. I was just thinking, I was like, oh, I'm wondering if this is what he meant by doing so.
Yeah,
and
it's not cucking.
Really bad, like.
Yeah, it's not cucking. It's giving free will. And the thing is it's just like you've got a cat and you're like forcing it to sit on your lap, they're going to go. But if you don't try to do that, they're more apt to come onto your lap. And so it's the same thing. That's what I've learned, at least with the women in my life. When I try to control, they want to leave. And when I say, no, go free, you're free to do whatever you like, they're like, but daddy, I don't want to. I want to be next to you. They're like, okay, if that's what you want to do, but I'm not going to force you to be here. That door is wide open.
Yeah.
And they're like, can you close the door, please? And I'm like, no, it's going to stay open. And in fact, I even push it. I push it into like this other, just really quickly, push it into like an erotic thing. Like I've been out with one of my subs in the past, and I noticed like guys like looking at her, because she was like smashing. She was wearing this really tight, like nice evening gown, well, I'm sorry, not a gown, but a cocktail dress. And we're sitting in this place. There's like these leather chairs, and we were sitting around this table, and these guys kept looking at her from the bar. And I said, look, you see those guys over there? I want you to get up and go talk with them. And they're like, and she's like, what? He's like, do it. Go ahead. Nothing bad's gonna happen. And I said, just check with me visually after about 10 minutes. And she reluctantly got up and went over there and started talking with them, flirting with them, joking, things like that. They bought her a drink and she looked over at me and I called her back, right? And then I had her come and sit on my lap. And the guys like watched her, you know what I'm saying? So it was like pushing her mind and then dominating their minds as well. You know what I'm saying? He's like, oh, wait a second. He set up this whole fucking thing. And you're like, yeah, I did. You know, like just for my own amusement. And but the thing is, like, if I was affected by my own fear and this desire to control and grasp, I would never be able to do that. I'd be like, oh my gosh, but oh shit, there's the dog.
It's all right. It's all right. Good.
It's okay. Yeah, you know, I'm gonna pick your brain a little bit. There's always like I believe there's more than one way to do things. Like I'm a firm believer. There's
Absolutely.
never like one way to do things. And I've had lots
Never.
of conversations with other women several times on this conversation because they'll say stuff like, especially in this day and age, you know, the thing to do now is go out and club, right? Go out and drink with my girlfriends, go do a weekend in Miami, right? And I've always said that you never want to put yourself in a situation where you are inviting problems.
Mhm.
I'm a firm believer in that because I know in the beginning of my marriage to where I am today, you know, it's not that my husband ever tried to control my actions, but he always kind of guided me and let me know, like, hey, you know, this might happen or this might invite other problems. Or he always tried to like look out for me, you know?
Mhm.
So I try to help other girls know, like, if he comes to you and he says, hey, you know, that outfit when I'm not with you, it could be inviting problems. And he's right. So I think that there has to be a little bit of balance, especially with women today and feminism. They have really been brainwashed into believing anything goes, you know, and this
Sure.
whole like, if you think about it, everything in feminism is like, don't ever shame her for anything. Don't ever tell her no for anything. So now women believe that anything goes. And I do think there has to be a little balance there. So with this topic, like, how do you handle, what would you tell a girl in this situation when she's like, oh, he's trying to control what I'm wearing, or he's always telling me where to go, or whatever? Like, what advice would you tell them, especially in where we are today with feminism?
Well, for me, I would never even get to that place in the first place. Like that would never even occur on the track that I'm on, you know, because like the way I build my tracks, that just would never occur. You know what I'm saying? Because I know the steps and things, and everything's laid out clearly from the jump. So like when I meet a new girl, I make myself very, very apparent to her of what kind of person I am and the type of lifestyle I live. And I allow them to ask questions so that they can get a complete understanding, or at least a better understanding of what it's going to be like to involve themselves with me. And that could involve me controlling your time, me controlling your outfits, me controlling this, me controlling that. But it's an invitation, kind of like the university thing. Like, hey, we do things like this over here. If you want to join the school, this is what's expected of you. And so if someone's in that situation, they're already fucked. They've made too many bad choices and a lack of leadership right when you met. And that's where most problems start, is not doing, like Picasso said, the future of every painting is determined by the first stroke. So usually if they get into that position, they're the wrong person in setting up the wrong thing.
So to clarify,
go ahead.
To clarify, what you're doing is you're setting those boundaries and standards from the start.
Yeah.
From the very beginning.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Because it would suck if you were to get a job and you go to the first day of the job and you're like, hey, so what do we do here? And the boss is like, I don't know. You're like, so do you have goods or services? I haven't sorted that out yet. We're just going to like play it by ear. And you'd be like, so what are my jobs? What do I do? And they're like, I don't know. We'll figure it out as we go along. Yeah. You'd be like, what the fuck? How can I trust this moving forward? Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
So at what point does like the leadership cross the line into insecurity, wearing a mask of masculinity?
Yeah. Like, again, like it always comes down to that emotional protection. Like when you're doing things to protect your emotions, then you're doing it wrong. So one of the things that I teach my guys in my school is to have emotional resilience through leaning into tension. And so when you come across something like internal development and you realize that something of your past has caused this thing and you're dredging up old memories and old feelings, don't block it. Don't run away from it. Don't excuse it. Don't justify it. Don't define it. Nothing. Just sit in it and condition your nervous system to be over a long period of time. Like just keep doing it again and again.
Get comfortable with it.
Yes, in the situation where your girl's coming to you, she's like, oh my gosh, I've had like such a terrible day and like something's going on with her family and she's just in such emotional turmoil. What do guys usually do, right? They try to fix it right away. They give her advice right away, or they try to like end the situation as quickly as possible so that they can move away from that scenario because they don't like that tension. They don't know what to do with it. And I said, no. You have to sit in that tension. You know, they say like,
they just either want to fix it so they could fuck it later. You know, it's like, oh no, she has a problem. Let me just fix her problem so we can have sex later. You know, like,
well, I think it's just so they can get away from the emotional discomfort in that moment because they don't have the resilience. So really, I think it's a great skill for men to learn emotional resilience and just to sit in that tension and not immediately try to do something about it. And that's right. Yeah, it's an immeasurable skill to develop.
It's like almost taking a pause before acting or anything. Just
right. Just it's an indefinite pause where you then decide how you're going to respond and react. And so that skill takes a lot of time. Actually, it can take months to develop that sort of thing. But once it's there, it has a tremendous effect on your woman, on your children, your family, your friends. It just kind of like exudes out of you, and it's like it gets this vibe of like he's unfuckwithable. Like no matter what happens,
he's not unfuckable. He's unfuckable.
Right? Yes, exactly.
It's a new one.
I hope that answered the question.
Yeah,
I tend to meander.
No, absolutely, it did. I think what we're dealing with today, when we look at this gender war and like the issues of division all over the place, men and women at each other's throats, what I noticed is that it's coming from individuals that have a hard time dealing with reality. So even before they had issues before, like with the opposite sex, I think that they were struggling in life already. And then when they got with a person, whether it be, in a relationship or a casual or whatever it was, marriage, and that didn't work out, because maybe they were not living in reality to begin with. It's just like the more information that gets thrown at them, especially on social media, right? Like there's all this information today, but it's like the more information they're getting, the worse they're becoming because they don't need more information because they can't live in reality. So with that being said, with self-control, would you consider self-control as like the ultimate form of dominance?
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That goes to exactly what I was talking about with the mind being fractured, and it becomes weaker the more shards get created into smaller shards, because that's what happens over time, right? The shards get smaller, you become weaker. Your sense of self becomes weaker because it's getting dispersed. You know what I'm saying? And the whole idea is to create that density of self, and to do that, you have to cut off the things that are creating the fraction, the fractioning. So that's why it's important for guys to just get offline. Like, if your work has something to do with being online, do it, but only for the purpose of work. That's it. By engaging, like I tell these guys, like I'm on like Clubhouse sometimes.
He's all over the place.
It's a nice petri dish. It's a nice petri dish to look at people's behavior. But anyways, I tell guys that you shouldn't be talking to any woman that is not your woman. It makes no sense. It's like pissing into a hurricane, right? It's just going to fly back in your face. Yeah. Okay. And they're thinking like, oh, like I really slammed her. You know what I mean? They're like looking for like these ways to like,
who are you to her?
Like, well, it doesn't. It's again. It's like pissing into a hurricane. It does absolutely nothing. Like you should not be spending any kind of energy or time whatsoever, even the slightest amount, of trying to correct a woman who is not your woman. Yeah, it's just a waste.
I say, if I'm not fucking you, feeding you, or funding you, I don't care what you do. You know,
but even that, it's like it's not that. Is she looking to you for guidance? Is she willingly under your wing?
Well, I mean, if you're
right?
definitely under my wing, if I'm fucking you, feeding you, and funning you,
Well,
okay?
Let's hope
yeah,
so.
if
Let's
you're
hope so.
not, if she has no form of devotion or any real
Yeah.
life experiences with you, then she's not going to listen to anything that you say anyway.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And that's I mean, you just talked about like the I would say the majority of marriages.
So just
Unfortunately.
let me ask you this question though, because
Yeah.
I know why. It just sounds bad, but
Mm,
if a man can't control his reactions, right? If he can't control his impulses, his anger, his jealousy, and his emotional spikes, right?
mm.
Why does this disqualify him from trying to control anything external? And
Oh,
I mean,
that's a good
it sounds
question.
like a dumb question, but I think guys need to hear it clearly why this thing, because I think there's more depth to it than just it's obvious common sense, right? It's more than that.
Yeah. No, that's a great question. And simply put, is because it displays volatility. And
Mm.
that's it. And things that are volatile because of like to women, because of how they've been wired over numerous generations, right? Because they don't have the brawn to protect themselves. They developed a keen sense of social awareness, social cues, reading like micro expressions in faces, emotional temperature. They're always gauging and reading like either covertly or overtly, like subconsciously or consciously for danger in some way or another, whether it's just like discomfort or like immediate, like something terrible is going to fucking happen. Right.
They can
There's,
also they can
go ahead.
tell when a guy is a guy who's liked by women, or a lot of women like him. Like women are very good. That's one of the things they are mastered at. They can tell whether that guy has a lot of women who like him and he likes them back. Like they act different around him.
Yes. And that goes to what I was saying, because that's an indication that they're like, oh, they feel safe. That like there's something about him that is drawing their emotions to him. Okay. And that's not to be confused with the guy who's popping bottles at the club and all the girls are there. Not the same thing. Okay. That's being liked for different reasons. What she is talking about is something completely different. This
Yeah.
is something like maybe you'd see it like like like
It was like an Andrew
a
Tate,
picnic.
right? Like an Andrew Tate. You're
No,
wondering
like
why, like
no, like
all these women are around
like
Andrew Tate.
like you're going to like this lunch thing you know I remember seeing this like for like my kids school, and it was like this thing where all the parents and stuff, and there's this guy that I know of and he's got that vibe, and like all the moms were around him. He's married, they get kids and things like, so it has nothing to do with like there was no like mate guarding or any of that bullshit, but just the way he is, it's just like, oh, he's got this comfort about him that is so non-threatening, but not non-threatening in the nice guy disorder sort of
Yeah.
way. Okay, so that's not the same thing, because that's actually very threatening to girls. It's just he had that vibe, and they're like, oh, he's just this magnetic thing. That part of it has to do with that safety. And so what you're talking about is the volatility, Glenn. And when a guy has this thing where he's emotionally charged, he's emotionally reactive, his behavior is unpredictable, he's quick to anger, he's quick to worry, he's quick to criticism, he's quick to defending himself, then that actually is too close to the feminine state, right? Which is actually very soft. Okay, like a woman's core is actually really, really soft. So criticism cuts really deep, really easily. That's why girls are like very easily influenced by guys who really know how to influence. Okay, that's why marketing and advertising, they gear most of their shit towards women, because they're more easily influenced. It's just part of nature. So when there is somebody who's acting volatile, it sets off all those like subconscious, maybe amygdala centered alarms that says, wait a second, there's something off there. I don't feel comfortable in that man's presence. And it could be something really obvious, right? Where he's like trying to pick a fight with a fucking fire hydrant, or she just has a vibe, and she's like, I'm gonna just go sit over there on the train instead of next to him.
So about the guy that
he might be just
fights
sitting there
with
reading a book.
hydrants? I know a guy over
Sorry?
here down the street that he picks fights with fire hydrants all the time, but I think he's on drugs. Like, what I'm saying? Like, he's also talking to streetlights. Like, like, what are you doing? He's swinging his arms. But that's just LA. That's just LA.
So,
well, that's New York as well.
Justin, would you be able to, is it safe to say that women feel more trust toward a man who is emotionally regulated?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that goes without saying. But the question is like, well, what is that? Like, what
Mm.
is emotional regulation? I think that's another thing that
Mm.
is dominant. And I think that's another thing that a lot of guys get confused. And that's not to be confused with stuffing your emotions down. Okay. It's also not allowing them to fly free. All right. It's somewhere in the middle
Would you
where
say it's like knowing when to walk away? Like when you're like, okay,
no,
here's my line, and you know what? I'm getting close. I need to put a pin in this and then walk away so I could regulate. Like I don't
no,
act emotionally.
it's more so about being able to talk about your emotions.
Mhm.
Okay. So there's a difference between talking with anger and talking about my anger, right? So I said,
Mhm.
Gia, the other day you said this thing and it really pissed me off, right? That's talking about my anger instead of talking from my anger.
Like, Gia, you do this thing, and you break
Yes,
the
exactly.
dinner. Get out of the
Yeah,
kitchen.
exactly. And so the great thing is about doing that, like speaking about your emotions instead of from them, is that you're just holding them. You're not like white knuckling them. They're just kind of in the palm of your hand. And you're kind of teaching your nervous system that you are in control of the emotions, not the other way around.
Mm.
And this kind of sets a thing of dominance to the woman because typically girls are not that way. I've met only a handful of women in my entire life, and I'm almost 50 years old, that have that ability.
Mhm.
And one of
Could
them was a head monk at a Buddhist monastery, so that kind of doesn't count.
say that
Wait, were
again.
women
So
to be monks?
what was
The emotional regulation, right? Because like because from what I've noticed is that there is a lot of volatility that happens inside like a lot of women's minds. Like there's just like a dozen different voices, different emotions. There's a lot of fluctuation and things like that. So when he's not like that, it's like, oh, wait a second. If I can put it this in a better way, I would, but it's like almost like he's better than me, right? So there's this thing to like look up to. It's like, oh, wait a second, he's regulated in something that I have difficulty regulating because of just the nature. Like women are, like not in a bad way, but they're like chaotic, like just like going out in
so
the woods. Like trees don't grow in a straight line; they're all over the place. And you don't
would it
criticize the trees, but it's just the way it is.
would it be safe to say that if he isn't emotionally react or he is emotionally reactive all the time, let's say he's been going about the whole relationship for years and decades being very emotional reactive, is it safe to say that women can now be the one who gets dominant and gets calm and has to learn to kind of offset that?
Yep. Yep. Yeah,
Mm.
it's the yin yang principle universally.
Mm.
Yep,
It's like when
absolutely.
he's dropping the ball, she has to pick up the slack, and somebody has to
Yes.
be that other person
Yeah.
that grounds everything. Yeah.
And this is where like a lot of wives they get pissed off and they're like, "No, great, I've got another kid to take care of."
That's where
Right?
the resentment
Because
comes in.
he's whining about not getting sex. He's complaining about this. He's passive aggressive, slamming the cupboards in the kitchen when he has really something to say, but he doesn't. And she's just like, "Oh my god, I have to be the fucking grown up now." I want to be like guys who are watching this realize that women, they actually want to be the little girl. And sometimes that includes throwing a little tantrum from time to time.
Yeah, they could be
Sometimes that
brat.
means breaking down and crying. Sometimes that means curling up and wanting to sit on your lap. There's there's that little girl inside every woman. And it's funny because I even see it in my 80-year-old mother. It's always there until they die. But can you create the environments, the emotional environment, not the fucking mansion,
Yeah.
right? It has nothing to do with that. The emotional environments that allows that little girl to come out. And you can't be a little boy who's pouting, complaining, stealing cookies, writing on the wall, running around. Like you can't be on the same wavelength and expect her little girl to come out. It's going to cause her mommy to kind of step up and go, okay,
Mm.
I got to come into this consciousness now because there is actual life to mind here, you know? And it's an unfortunate reality. And it's super, super common.
And so
Have
when they
you
end up
s-
having to see you as a child, like
Yeah.
that's where they get kind of think of that bitterness and resentment just stays there.
Oh, yeah.
Festers.
have
Yeah.
you seen that a lot of men that come from single mother homes have this tendency to do this more often?
Well, single mother and also like absent father, where like the dad is like there, but he's like a wet towel. And
He's
and
like
this actually
present, but
when
he's not like effective.
yes. And so when like some of my guys have this and they actually have even more resentment because they now have a greater awareness and they go like, especially like after working with me for a little while, they're like, my dad was a fucking chump. And they're pissed at that they didn't get what they needed when they were a young man. And so what happens in these situations is that it's like a perfect storm for codependency to develop. And so the boy never gets to have his true childhood. Okay. Like especially when the dad's not there, he becomes the man of the house. You know what I'm saying? And he doesn't get to experience full childhood. He then has his shoulder with responsibilities, and he gets put into these different psychological jackets, like her best friend, her confidant, her therapist, her buddy, or like her helper, like all these things that like a child should not be doing.
Don't they call it son husbandry? Isn't that called son husbandry? I think it is. Like,
I don't know. But what happens is that then when he does these things, she has a particular reaction. And his subconscious goes, oh, starts piecing things together like Lincoln Logs, and goes, wow, if I do these things, I get the pat on the head and called a good boy. I'm just going to keep doing these things. And so now he starts developing this codependent relationship with the feminine archetype, and he carries this on through his life. And then we get nice guy disorder.
Wow.
And sometimes when that builds up to the point where he doesn't get what he wants, because like girls are like, they're like, oh, that's kind of gross when you do that. Then sometimes that resentment can grow and become more and more and more dense. And that's when they explode. And this is when we have guys who are acting violently towards women, doing fucked up shit, shooting them, setting them on fire, slapping them, punching them. There's been some of those instances here in New York where guys are just like, they're like blowing a valve. And it all comes from that unrequited thing. And really it's like my guys, when they have this, I'm like, dude, you have to break up with your mom. Like, that's what you have to do. You have to dump her. And it's weird because like they understand this from a rational adult male perspective, but they have to get in touch with the child, which I've like processes to do this. And it's a difficult thing. Like the kid doesn't want to let go. And it's a pretty painful process, but you have to go through it. Exactly. It's a Peter Pan thing. And you have to do it if you want to become a man. Like you have to be that like raw, honest with yourself. I mean, like this is a problem.
Oh, go ahead, Gia. Good.
I was going to say the mothers probably don't make it any easier for them. They probably give them the guilt trip too.
It can. There's ones where like the mom's just a regular mom, doing the best she can, like that sort of thing, just like average regular mom. That it can also become worse when she's like a helicopter mom, because that aids in the thing. They become an enabler. Or it can get worse in another direction where the mom is completely dissatisfied all the time. No matter what he does is ever good enough. And then it can turn into abuse, where it's like one of my guys who would get regularly locked under the stairs, like Harry Potter style, for hours on end when he was like 8 years old. And like that. But it would be for like leaving his shoes in the hall, like that sort of shit. So he would work extra, extra hard. And would it make any sense, or it makes perfect sense, that as a man who, I think he was like 55, 56, massive overachiever, like running 3 multi-million-dollar companies, building he's in Turkey, he's building like a body modification thing for like women, like boobs, hair, skin, whatever, all this stuff, but it's a resort. So you don't just like go in, get lipo, and then leave. You're there for like a week or 2 weeks, and they take
recover.
Mud baths. It's like this whole fucking thing. There's like so many doctors involved, so many like multi-millions of dollars involved in this massive, massive business. And he's got 2 other ones on top of that he's been running. And it's like, yeah, it makes sense that you're this way, because after learning about how fucking monstrous your mother was, that you have to prove yourself in her eyes, because nothing was ever good. Nothing.
Yeah, I had no problem getting thrown in the nook though. Like the nook was cool. Like I ended up like sneaking in my toys in there. So like I would like
you prepared, like throw snacks in there.
Yeah, like, I was like, hey, I know I'm gonna be in here, so let me just go in and just But okay, so you listed like the second mistake was like leading without direction, right?
Uh-huh.
Why do so many men claim they want to lead, but they have no clear vision, no real structure, just no real plan? Do they just think that, well, I'm the man, so I'm supposed to lead? This is like I'm supposed to do this.
Yeah, it's vague though. Like if you say like, okay, well, tell me about that. Or you hear
Yeah,
guys say like,
yeah.
get on my program. I say, okay, tell me about that. What is your program? Describe it. And they're like, and they
What
have
did
no
I say?
clue. They have no clue. And typically what this means, the leadership is basically like doing what I say and giving me sex when I want.
Mm,
And it's like, well, doing what you want. Okay, cool. Doing what you say for what purpose? And
yeah.
in what context? And what's the reason behind it? Okay. So every rule that I put together in my relationship is not just simply because I want it to happen. It's because if followed over a period of time, it creates a desired effect that benefits the entire dynamic, that it
Mm.
makes people better. Okay. And it's like, well, how does it make me better? It makes me better because I have to monitor that shit constantly. Like the fluctuations, because we're not people. You don't just put in some like robots. You put in some code and it's just perfect. Women are not like that. We're humans. Women are fallible. So you have to monitor shit and constantly like gauge things and say, okay, well, how am I going to do with this? I told her no cussing at the dinner table, but she let it out. She was having a terrible day. How do I deal with this? She's been consistent for the past 6 weeks, and then she had this bobble. How do I handle this? You know what I mean? And there's like all this monitoring, and the tighter I get with monitoring, the better it becomes for me. I reinforce my own sense of self, my own rules, my own foundation, and it also helps her, for obvious reasons. The leaders, that they have this idea of like, okay, I want to be a leader because I think that that's just innate in like a lot of
Mhm.
guys. It's just
Oh,
the
this is what
sense
is
of like, I
expected
want
of
to
them
lead.
too, right?
What's that?
It's also what's expected of them too.
Yes, but I'm talking
From a
about something that's more
societal
innate.
base.
I think
Yeah,
I think it's something, there's a nature and nurture thing going on
yeah.
there. So I think part of it is nature, with not every guy, but a lot of guys. And so they have that calling, but they don't know really what to do, like how to formulate it, due to the lack of structure in their own life, due
Mhm.
to not having a father who would say like, hey, this is what you should be doing with your life. This is how you should be tending to a relationship, or observing it in real time. Like, okay, oh, this is how he deals with mom. This is how he deals with the relationship, how he deals with himself when something comes up, or he pulls me aside and explains things if it's not readily, visually explainable. And so they have this desire, but they don't have like this vision. They don't have any structure in which to achieve the vision. And so that obviously is just going to create a really shitty outcome. And the thing is that I think also within a lot of women is the opposite, where it's like, I want to follow a vision, I want to be part of this track where, yes, life, everything is uncertain, and there's so much uncertainty in life. That's basically the only constant in life, is uncertainty. And now there's this guy who's like, you know what? There is certainty in me. I know what I want. I know what I want to create. This is how I want to feel. This is the vision. And she's like, like it kind of like takes the edge off a little
Mhm.
bit. Right. So like part of her mind knows like, okay, yeah, the reality is like life is totally unpredictable. We don't know shit. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But that he has so much faith in
Hmm.
his vision, and it's so clear to him with a lot of detail, that it's like, I can buy into that. That
Well,
feels comfortable. I feel like kind of sit next to that and be like, okay, that takes the edge off a little bit.
women love the three words, "I got this covered," or "I can handle this," or I'll
Yeah.
handle this. They love those three words.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You
I
know,
got it.
like
Yep.
if a woman, how does a woman trust a man's leadership if he doesn't even know what he values? Because today, right, we have young men, 20s, 30s, kind of chasing the values of money and status
Mhm.
and things that
Yeah.
really aren't going to help a relationship, a marriage. Like they actually, if anything, they're kind of a curse in that sense. How can a woman trust a man that doesn't even know what he values if that's his values?
She can't. I mean, her instincts say don't trust a person
Right.
Yeah.
like that. They should listen to their instincts.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, that's going to have a lot of very lonely women. But it's like lonely, and at least not going down an unknown and potentially very rocky path. So I have sympathy for girls, because there's so many guys who have no direction and no
Yeah.
vision, and are just following very surface level things. Okay. Having like the 666, achieving that does absolutely nothing. It does
Yeah.
fuck all for, like, sure, it might be attractive. Okay. But keeping a woman and creating devotion, creating religious
Really different.
devotion to your man, has nothing to do with what you have. Like it
Yep.
really doesn't. Because if that were the case, then wait, who was that? Who was that?
Tom
That
Brady.
fucking Tom Brady. Yeah, how did you know I was thinking of him?
Because I was right here with you. I was right here with you the whole time.
But yeah, Tom Brady. Look, I mean, people would argue that he's like one of the most attractive football players. He's tall. He's very wealthy. Fantastic career. Well respected across the entire NFL. Okay, even with
Oh, yeah.
teams that probably like hate him, they're like, oh yeah, he's a great dude. And his own wife was just like, nah.
Well, I mean, she was the billionaire out of the
and-
two.
And so here's the thing though. Guys will look at that incorrectly and they'll say,
Yeah.
wait a second, if that happens to Tom Brady,
If
Yeah,
you
no,
have
what chance do I have? And he's saying you're looking at it completely wrong.
Yep.
Okay. What he's missing something that causes gravitational fields.
Mhm.
That's what's missing.
Well,
And-
he was
and-
also focused on the career, which she had her own money. So to her, it was like, we have everything we need financially. I want time with
Yep.
you. And then she left him for a guy who was broke, but could give her all the time in the
Yeah,
world.
the time that she wanted, and it was also
I would say that's
inconsistency.
still operating on a surface level. Like they were both operating on a surface level.
Mhm.
Okay, so because when there's emotional impact, like I'm
Mhm.
talking like core level emotional impact, it doesn't matter how much of that is. Okay, it's kind of like do you guys have like old friends you don't see very often,
Yeah,
and when you see them, it's like you
Like,
saw them yesterday.
yep. Just like you just were right
Because
back
there's
to the same
because
thing.
there's that emotional impact that's been created. It doesn't matter the time that goes by. You're just like, hell fucking yes. I'm so glad to see you. Right?
Yep.
It's not like pissing. Oh, I wanted more time with you. What the fuck? You know, like it's not like that at all, ever. You know what I'm saying?
Never.
Because of that deep emotional impact. So when that's there, there's no vying for more. Okay, there's only vying for more when the mind remains on the surface like a stone skipping across the water, right? And it's just looking for that more, looking for that extra to get that surface level emotional fulfillment. But that's not the deep penetrative emotional fulfillment. Okay, that comes through another form of leadership, which is emotional leadership. And having emotional impact on the woman. And you don't need to be wealthy. You don't need to be famous. And you could be incredibly busy. But as long as you're able to do this, it like basically supersedes all of that stuff.
So
Hmm.
can a man be viewed as dominant if he's constantly improvising or wavering and changing his position based on emotion or convenience?
Yeah, obviously not. No. The consistency starts with like a lot of self-knowledge.
Yeah.
And that's because that's like the first thing to become consistent. So once that's consistent, that sets basically the stage for everything that you do to also have consistency or
Mm.
consistency. So, and then that's the thing that starts to build the trust, because she's like, oh, okay, he's not like me. He's not indecisive. He's not chaotic. His emotions aren't up and down all over the place. He's not sitting there, what do I do? He's not coming to me saying, what do I do? Right? He seems to have a great sense of faith within himself.
I'm glad you said that, because
Right.
I have
And then
seen guys
even-
do that. And it's like, what do you mean even on the internet, you'll see a guy like, tell me the solution. Why are you going to a woman asking her for the solution? Why are you asking
Yeah.
a woman, what should I do?
Yeah, it's wild. And the funny thing is that they're sitting on all the answers.
You know,
Like
it's funny 'cause
every answer for the problem that guys have is sitting inside them.
it's funny
really
when
weird.
they say that, because like that's what the biggest complaint people have with Pearl was like, oh, she's just talking about problems. She doesn't offer any solutions. She's a woman. Why should she be offering you solutions? You're the solution.
Yes. But then that's still guys. Like, to me, that says there's a lot of guys who are operating from their inner child or their inner teen, looking to mom to be told what to do
Yeah.
and how to do it, so
They
that
want
they can
permission.
gain the approval, aka success, with girls. And it's like, that's not how it's done. Like, you have to become self-defined. You have to become self-actualized, which then turns into sovereignty. Okay. And what is sovereignty? It's a nation or state or a region that governs itself.
Self.
It doesn't answer to the laws or the whims or the influences of things outside its own boundaries. So once you become sovereign, okay, which requires cutting off from internet influence and, sometimes religious influence, parental influence, school influence, government influence. It's like whatever you deem that needs to be filtered must be filtered so that you can create that, then it's like that's when you start having an immense amount of control. And then she's like, oh, wait a second, I can't affect this guy because all of like her charms, her emotions, like all this stuff, like her sex, it's like, wait a second, I can't move this man for anything. I get upset, he's calm. I'm crying, he's calm. I'm angry with him, he's calm. I'm throwing pussy in his face, he's calm. I storm out the room, he's calm. I threaten to leave, he's calm. I can't do anything.
Yeah.
And it really throws them off. They're like, wait a second. Okay, maybe I should just be calm too.
So I know that you talked about getting off social media, cutting off any other influences. Is that what you would define as like an internal framework? Like a man's internal framework? Is that similar? Like when
What
you're
sovereignty?
trying to help a man
Mhm.
learn, the proper way to be dominant. So you're telling him, get rid of the social media, get rid of the family influences, get rid of all these outside voices, right? Really have your own voice speaking and know what you want, right? Is
Sure.
that part of having an internal framework?
It can be. So it shouldn't be by default, get rid of family influence. Okay. It's take everything and hold it up to the light to see if it's opaque or transparent. To say, is this alignment with me? Now, how do we know if it's in alignment or not? You have to establish your own codes, principles, and rules, which in my school we call the Constitution, which is basically like a constitution of the United States. It's the base identity of a region. And then from that, all of the laws get born. Okay. So I help my guys. It's not prescriptive, but I give them the tools to establish this, to establish their own constitution. Then that gets used as the filtering thing. So say this, so they create the constitution and basically this is what's in alignment. This is what I believe in. This is what I stand for. This is what I am. Is my family values that I was raised with in alignment with that? And it's like, no, actually, my dad was a fucking racist. I was growing up thinking and feeling that way, but you know what? That's not in alignment with me. Fuck that. It's out. Okay. Some people come to those same conclusions with religion. Some people come to the same conclusions about their culture, their schooling, whatever. Okay. It doesn't matter. But what matters is that there's internal clarity based on what they really believe in.
So
Some things don't.
let me change this topic to something else, because when you hear dominance and domineering, there's always a level of force implied here, right? So what does force look like in a relationship dynamic when a man is trying too hard to appear dominant?
Well, I've got a story about that. So this guy, he wasn't a no, it wasn't you, but so he's not a student of mine, but like I bring in guys who just like want to buy a couple of calls with me or whatever, but they're not a student in the school. And we were talking, and he told me this story about how his girlfriend, she got a flat tire on the highway, and instead of calling him, she called AAA.
You told me this story earlier.
Right, yeah, I did. And
This is a good one.
so like she calls AAA, tire gets fixed, she goes off, and then at the end of the day, they're meeting up back at home, and he's telling her the story because people catch up on their day and all that stuff, and he immediately just gets really defensive and really upset, and he's like, "Why didn't you fucking call me?" Like because his ego got offended that he wasn't her first go-to. So he's like thinking the boy was, I'm not mommy's favorite. Fuck her. Okay. So then the man steps in, okay, the big brother to the little kid steps in to protect, okay, and starts berating her, shaming her, just like browbeating her. And then he decides to physically punish her. And he has her like kneel on a chair, like facing the other way, right? So the back of the chair is against her chest.
Face.
And he takes off his belt and he belts her, okay? And like probably gives her like a few strokes. He didn't tell me how many, but I doubt it was just one. And the way he told this to me, it was almost like he was sort of trying to show me that he was like part of the group, because he knows that like I live like a BDSM lifestyle. And so he was like kind of like, hey, like, wasn't that cool of me? Like, did I like beat
I whooped her ass?
Like, I whooped her ass.
Yeah, you saw that?
Rules. Right. Exactly. And so that's an example of what you just asked for.
Yeah.
Okay. Where it's force in the place of domination. So the real thing would be to sit her down. Okay. And Well, actually, the first thing before that is to recognize, like, if there's an emotional thing coming up, like, oh, I feel second best, saying like,
Yeah.
okay, I recognize that emotion. I'm gonna, on my own time, I'm gonna tend to that because that's a little weird that I was getting upset that she called AAA. So I'm
That's
gonna
like
take out
common
my
sense.
time.
Like you're thinking like,
Right. I'm not gonna deal with that now, but on my private time, I'm gonna meditate on that, journal about that, and sort that shit out because that's fucking weird. Okay. And then address her. Okay. And because she didn't really do anything at fault. Now, if that was a rule, all right, it's not the difference. So if it was set up beforehand, if anything happens, I am the first person that you call. Unless it's like a true emergency and you have to call
yeah,
911. If it's not that, you call me. And that's established way early on.
yeah.
Okay. And it's reinforced over and over and over time. So when
Because
this sort of
you
thing
would think that
happens,
she was
it's like
thinking
boom.
about him in the sense of not trying to inconvenience him. She could take care of this by calling AAA. Like she's been able to be a help, not a
Right.
nuisance. You know, like
Exactly. And so like I was mentioning before, like with the setting things up from the get-go, a lot of problems are avoided by just setting
mhm,
things up properly. You know,
Hmm.
like with anything, usually preparation
yeah,
makes the outcomes better. Like with pretty much everything. Like think about like studio production.
yeah,
The more prep time you put in, what comes out is usually better.
better
And it's
quality.
like with anything, like you're setting up a wood shop, you're working on guitar, you're going to the gym, like your preparation makes everything better. So it's the same with relationships. We operate our businesses this way, we operate our education this way, we operate our fitness this way. But when it comes to relationships, we're like, hey, let's just kind of wing it. It's like, wait a
Oh,
second.
play it by
You
ear
put
and see how it
strategic
goes.
planning to everything in your life, but your woman, you're just like, let's just feel it out.
Now,
Blows my
on
mind.
the online discourse will say that shame is women's kryptonite. Like I've heard this before in the online discourse. Oh, shame is women's
Mm,
kryptonite. Or
yeah.
force is something that women need to have. Like we don't need to earn trust in a relationship. That's what they say online. We don't need to earn trust. We need to apply force onto women.
Mm.
What do you think about that? Do you think women respond well to shame and force?
Mm.
Some women respond really
Um,
good to spankings. I'm just telling
no,
you, I've
no one
seen it work.
does. No one does.
Mm,
So think like, if I were to like attack you, all right,
mhm.
or typically what most people do, what do? They curl up into a fetal position and expose their back, which is, protecting the soft organs in the front, and they tighten up. Okay. um, that's what would happen emotionally. That's what happens when unless they've got great ego understanding, great ego control. Typically, what happens is people they firm up, they brace themselves for some kind of
Wall up.
physical or emotional attack.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Mm.
so by browbeating, by using force and anything like that, all you're doing is just making the woman more and more dense, which is the opposite of her natural core state. So you're making it worse for yourself and for her. Okay.
So to the people online that will be like, "No, we need to shame women more." Like that's where we need to go with this. Like what do you think about that? Like
Well,
what's
it's just gonna make them harder, right?
I
It's the
think
yin yang
I think it
principle.
makes them put a wall up and kind of not hear you anymore. Like it's like a
Mhm.
protective thing. Like I've always
Yes.
said that if she is like for instance if it's my husband who comes to me and says, you know, gives me shame or force, like I'm going to be receptive to that. But if it's somebody on the internet, I'm not going to be receptive to that. So I
Right, and it's
think that
because you trust your husband.
right, and I think there needs to be that whenever I have this conversation online, and I say that in order for shame to work on women, there needs to be an element of guilt. And in order for there to be guilt, there also needs to be a community that she trusts and that she hears and love. And since social media doesn't offer that for women, it doesn't work. It doesn't work on social media. But I've heard
No.
this kind of this back and forth, thing that we need to shame them more. And we know there's lots of pages that will just like go online and be like, she's a whore, she's a whore, and I'm like,
Train
what is
these
that?
hoes.
What is this really
Mhm.
doing? Like, this is not really helping them listen and have a
Well, I know I
change.
think really they're just trying to get something off,
Mhm.
okay?
Mm,
Um, and I don't think they're, like, really wanting to produce change because what if that change did happen? Like, think about,
mm,
like, the tidal wave of shame, okay? What if that actually worked? Do you know what would happen? It would turn into a whole bunch of responsibility for men, for all these
Yeah.
young,
mm,
underdeveloped, angry, spiteful, bitter boys, sometimes in the bodies of grown men, now faced with a bunch of soft, yielding girls, right? That sounds like a fucking massive disaster. Okay. So they don't want that to happen, actually. I don't think they want the outcome. I think they just want to get something off. I think they want to just express their own pain, their own anger, and their own frustration because they don't have anything else. They can't beat a girl. They can't do anything to women. The only card they can play is shaming, and it does nothing. It makes them laugh. Like most girls will just laugh in their
Oh
face,
yeah.
or the girls are even better at it, and they just flip words around and just give it back to the guy like tenfold.
Yeah, they
Right?
they block it. They block, and then they just go to their little community of girls and like laugh at them. Basically, is what they do.
Right. Or I'm saying, like, even if the girl gets into a back and forth, usually the guy doesn't have the verbal cojones to stand up to her, like go toe to toe verbally.
No,
Like even like
he
in
will
type form.
destroy them. Women will
Right.
eat him up, spit him out, and just let him stay there. 'Cause all
Yeah, it's so that's all they have is the frustration
Yeah.
and just wanting to get something off because that's all they have. It's
Yeah.
it's a really sad state.
Mm.
And really all that
like,
if you really want to break all that down, I think that the root of that is actually towards mom.
mommy
Mm.
I
issues.
think it's yep, absolutely. I think it's just unaddressed mom problems.
Mommy didn't give
Really.
him the tit enough. That's right. She didn't give him the whole booby when he was younger.
Yeah. It's a huge problem.
Breastfeed your kids, ladies.
But the thing is, like you brought up a really good point, Gia, is that when there is like I call it like having a container. Okay. So when I was talking about the constitution, self-identity, the filtering, all that stuff, what that does is makes the identity much more dense. It becomes much more defined. And the way I look at it visually is like a crucible, right? Like those metal containers that molten metal goes into. The more formidable that is, the easier liquid can go into it. And so when you're like that, the woman becomes softer. She becomes more receptive. She becomes more liquid, more pliable. So like when the vessel is shaped like an hourglass, the liquid takes the shape of an hourglass. When it's like a V-shaped pitcher, it takes the shape of the V-shaped pitcher. It's like they follow along with how self-assured you are without being cocky and full of yourself. It's like real, like backed by true belief, right?
Yeah.
And not bravado, not showing off, like not trying to be the guy, but you're like actually the guy. And she can soften up. So when there is a point of shame, right, where it has to come and say, hey, listen, sit down, right? Or like kneel. And like you're getting a lecture or something like that. And like we need to talk, right? Or some force needs to happen. Like you were talking like spanking or some other sort of like punishment. Like this, one of my subs from the recent past, like she hated writing, hated it, made her hand kill. So just like in the beginning opening lines of like the Simpsons show, like I will not, 100 lines. Okay. And but she got me though.
right there.
She,
Like that's it. I'm done.
but she did it because, and it killed her and it made her irritated, but it's because she trusted me. She trusted that it was for a good purpose, right? And then afterwards, she wasn't left to feel frustrated with an aching hand. She was then brought back into my containment. All right, come here, right? It's been dealt with. You've had the lecture. You've done your lines. Now come here, right? Bring that softness back, like dissolving the hardness of resisting the anxiety of dealing with punishment, right?
Yeah.
And let's dissolve that now. Bring you back to that good girl state. Come to daddy. Come close to me. Feel my energy. Put some like hand cream on your hands. Pet your hair. Make you feel like a little girl again. Go get a bite of ice cream or whatever. But just a funny story about that. There was one time where I did have her do 100 lines of something, but the clever little shit, she wrote I 100 times. And then will 100 times, and then not 100 times.
That's what I did when I had to get in trouble. Like a same
Right.
thing.
I was looking at the way it was. So the lines were like all disjointed. I'm like, this looks odd. Did you do this? She's just like, yep. You didn't instruct me of how I had to write it. You're like, you clever little
She's
shit.
smart.
That's
like
funny.
You got me. But
it
that's
did
like,
say like
that's
9
that's a
out of
point
10
to be.
women like spankings, right? You know that 9 out of 10 women like spankings. There's a new study, so spankings are good.
Yes, yeah, they do. But yeah, that's another form of force. But again, when it occurs within a place of like trusted containment, where it's not like I'm doing this to control you, right? It's more so to bring you into a state of back to where you, for lack of a better word, belong. which is like your natural, like soft, submissive, non-scattered mind state. It's like you're centered now. And something like spanking, there's other things that do it too, kind of like make that happen. It facilitates that to happen.
Like
Now
that
she
jolt,
becomes closer to who she is.
like
Mhm.
that jolt, kind of like that wakes up, like, oh,
Yeah,
what am I
yeah.
doing?
It's like
Okay,
like a
got
Satori sort of moment. It's like brief,
yeah.
instantaneous enlightenment.
So let me
Mhm.
ask you this: what does it sound like when a man invites a woman into his leadership instead of begging for permission to occupy it?
Yeah. Well, like again, that starts with like the self-knowledge and all that stuff, like we mentioned before. But like I kind of touched on it earlier, where it's being very clear. So one of the exercises that I have my guys do is they make a list from one to 101. And I say, write
Mm.
down any desire that comes to your mind. It can be realistic, but out of your reach, and it could be completely fantastical. Like if you love Star Wars and you want a lightsaber, put it on that list. If you just want a hamburger right now, put it on the list. If you want a Ferrari F40 that's realistic, but it's out of your reach, put it on the list. Okay. Get used to understanding what your desires are, because of the cultural conditioning of men is you should only desire what is necessary. And anything beyond that is completely selfish. And it's like, no. You need to understand your desires in great depth, because that's how you lead. That's how you get to know yourself better. Ah, there you go. Good choice of color too. So
You said lightsaber.
oh, he makes the sounds as well.
Yep.
So knowing what you want is a great it's a large part of that. And that's what allows you to lead with clarity. Okay.
Mhm.
And then at the same time, while we're doing this, we're dealing with any sort of nice guy disorder. So because it could be like, is my desire a result of nice guy conditioning? Right. Sort of like the guys say that you can't go
Yeah.
out, or I need you to do this, I need you to do that. It's like, are you doing that because of self-protection, because you want to appease her, because you want to stay on her good side, right? And it's, so there's a lot of like these like interwoven layers to actually becoming a good, competent leader. It's not an easy task, right? So like one of my
No,
mentors is just
yeah.
like, this is not manhood is not made for everyone.
No,
It's
and
not.
it's like you have to have that balance, because like we know there's a difference between being considerate, right, versus outsourcing your authority. So for instance, like
Yeah.
if we know women love to like not get an answer from one person, they'll go get like answers from like five people and then make up their minds from those five people. At what point, like as a man, what do you tell a woman, or how do you handle a woman who is like, no, I'm going to go talk to somebody else, and you're like, there's that fine line between considerate and doing that whole like outsourcing authority. How can you make
Truth
sure a
is,
man doesn't cross the line between that?
I think it depends on what it is. So if it's like going to a professional that you don't have any expertise in, then it makes good sense. Like if she's got like an ingrown toenail, like she's gonna go see a podiatrist. You know what I mean? Not come to her man and say, "What do I do about this?" He's like, well, "I don't
cut
know.
it
Maybe
off.
get some fun." Right? Yeah. I got a circular saw in the garage. Like,
Yeah,
let's
we can
go.
just saw it off. We're good.
Yeah,
You
Dremel.
got 9 more. You don't need this one.
Yeah, Dremel and a blowtorch. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if it's a personal thing that has to do with like something that just has to do with her, but if it involves you, that's when,
Right.
yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's where the containment and free will comes into play. So early on, men need to teach their woman that she has no effect on him. That she can come to him with her fantasies, with her fears, with her concerns, with her complaints about you, okay? And you're unaffected about any of it.
That's
So
a
that
good
so,
point,
right,
because
so she gets this conditioning that like, hey, I can come to him with anything, kind of like a
mm,
good dad, right? Where the daughter's like, oh, I'm not going to catch flack, I'm not going to catch judgment. Like I can go to dad with anything, right? And that's the same kind of energy, right? Because that inspires the little girl to come out like, oh, I feel safe. I can be like just open and not scared of like what he'll do.
because
Although I will say,
men
n-
teach
I-
women that if
Mhm.
he is emotionally reactive every single time she comes to him for something,
Yep.
she will start
she'll
to lie
stop.
to him. She'll start to lie to
Mhm.
him on purpose, because she'll be like, I'm
Yep.
not going to say this to him because he's going to go crazy on me. So she'll back
Right.
off. Hmm.
Yep. Or start outsourcing the authority. right?
Yep.
And so there, but I will say, I was going to say this, that when there also is that trust and like reverence, there's also a little bit of fear. And that fear that she holds is, I don't want to disappoint him. Right. And so there's this balance. Okay. Because if as the man, you, the way you are, the way you carry yourself, the way you communicate encourages too much of that fear, then she's going to be reluctant to share things because she's like, oh, fuck, I messed up. I don't want to tell him. I need to tell him. But so now she's stuck in a dilemma. Okay. So there has to be like a little bit of that, but I'm also understanding that she can come to me with anything and that she's not going to be set on fire. Okay. So it's this weird balance.
Yeah.
So it's like I said, like they say men are simple creatures. You hear that, right? Like, oh, just give him a sandwich, a TV, and a blowjob, and he's fine. Like, yeah,
They're not
males.
really.
No, males
we
are
like
simple.
we like.
Let me say that males are simple. Men are not.
Yeah.
Men are not simple. We are well-defined, organized, structured machines with very complicated functionings. Okay. Males, on the other hand, the worker ants, the cogs, they're very basic, right? Just give them some fucking Netflix, give him a fucking sandwich or a pizza, give him a blowjob once a week, and he's fine. Give him a job.
Daily. Morning.
Right? Okay, all right. A daily blowjob. Give him an occupation, and he's good for the rest of his fucking life. He'll wear the same clothes every single day. He'll wear the same shoes until they just fucking fall apart. He's just the same guy, and he's completely content with that for the rest of his life. That's males. Okay. Men, on the other hand, we understand that we have a placement here in this life. And that the more we define this, the better we can take care of ourselves and take care of other people. That's a refining difference.
This is why I say that a man's brotherhood is so important, because if he is not guided by the right group of guys, or he doesn't have that resource to go to, and kind of understand this balance and this discernment, he's lost. Many of them are lost.
Well, it should be. Well, that's a very dangerous thing, because there's not many men in the world. So the chances there's chances of a guy having a group of guys and one or many of them are men is statistically rare.
Yeah.
Okay?
Wow.
So this is why I think it's important for guys to have mentors, right? Okay. It's part of like why I do what I do, to find someone who can guide you. Okay. It's like the hero's journey. You know what I'm saying? Like there's not a lot of Obi-Wans in the world. There's an Obi-Wan, there's one Yoda, it's part of like that journey. And I tell guys, when you set off on this thing, like you get conditioned to become social, like that, like boys are like what are they, defective girls, right?
Yeah.
They're conditioned to be these social creatures, to be part of the world and all this thing. Like, yes, we're
supposed to impose our will on the world.
No, as men, we're solitary. This is like, I am utterly alone. That's it. It's me and my path. And yes, I might have friends, I might have family, lovers, wives, children, and things like that. And they can be with me, but it's all based on me.
Yeah. And but you're still imposing your will, like you're leaving your mark on the world rather than the world leaving your mark on you. Like you are heading in your direction. You're not
mostly leaving mark on myself. Right. Well, leaving mark on myself, which then leaves a mark on the world. Yeah. But the whole notion that what I'm getting at is that it's a solitary life. It's a solitary venture. I don't have a crew. I know other men, and that's it. And from time to time, we kind of come up out our own little foxholes and go, "You good over there?"
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's like, and they're like, "Yeah, I got this." And I'm like, "Okay." And that's
like saying it's lonely at the top, right? When you're a man, like you're isolated because very few could correlate and relate to you. There's a lot of males down there. They all hang out and they gather, but it's like you're up here. You're like,
think about it. Online, how many males they band together, like a bunch of like little like chittering foxes. You know what I'm saying?
I say like
when you're alone, when you're like on the path of man. I tell this to my guys. I'm like, listen, you're gonna find yourself just people dropping away. Because that's what happens when you create this locus of control, when you create your constitution, when things become very defined on your own terms, by your own beliefs, your own values, then much of the world just drops away because you're like, I don't fuck with that. I don't fuck with that. I don't fuck with that. Fuck with that. But so it becomes like very, very simple. And there's like very few people get through it. It's like the microns on your filter become very, very fucking small.
Yeah.
And so this prevents any kind of bullshit, really. Like I haven't had problems with girls in I don't know how long. I don't know how many years. I have not gotten into one argument in probably a decade.
Do you want me to start one for you?
Just find a girl to get pissed off.
Just so you feel like when it's like, oh yeah, I don't want this anymore.
Well, but here's the thing though, because I understand it's just like university, work, or whatever. You try the correction. If it doesn't work, you go. That's it. Like, I'm not like deliberating back and forth with you like about keeping this fucking employee. Like it's not happening.
Yeah.
Like there's no good reason. Right. So it's like, okay, like we try to get this on the right track. If it doesn't work, okay, goodbye. The door's been open the entire time.
So we're going to hit you with some rapid fire questions right now.
Yeah, sure.
Because we're about to wrap it up because we're almost at the hour and a half mark. And I don't want to keep you up late because I already know it's over past midnight for you and y'all old folks.
Oh, it's fine. Yeah, it's totally fine.
So here we go. Is dominance learned or built or revealed?
It's in my opinion, it's built. It's built from it's built.
Forged in fire.
Yep.
What's the fastest way that a woman usually spots a fake dominance?
I'm the most dominant in the world. Alpha status.
When he uses a cock ring.
That's funny.
Fake dominance is often boasting, often going for titles. Like if we just started this thing, you're like, oh, well, like, what do I call you? Like, you're like, oh, what do I call you? You call me sir, right? And you'd be like, wait, what? And I'm like, yeah, you call me sir. Like that's fake dom stuff where they try to establish a dominance and authority before there's any trust, before there's any communication, before anything. So they're assuming a role before the other side even has like a chance to catch up.
So all the internet guys saying that they're king of their castles, basically.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, could you imagine probably Henry, like King Henry VIII, like he probably never called himself king. You know what I'm saying?
He's like, this is what I say. Like, if you're the guy, you know you're the guy. You don't need to announce that you're the guy. Everybody knows you're the guy. By the way you walk in the room, they just go, "Oh, he's the guy," without the announcement.
Yeah, Alexander the Great did not come up with that name. It was given to him.
You know what? I'm great. You need to call me Alexander the Great.
Or like the people online, they're like, I'm always right. I'm always right. Like that. They always say that. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So what one behavior men think is dominant that instantly makes them look weak?
Arguing with women.
That's a good one.
Even if you win, right? Because you just bad. Right, because you just beat down a girl.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're so tough, man. Look at you.
You bully you.
So what would you say one quality in a man that makes a woman instantly feel trusting, like safe with him?
Not being emotionally reactive. Yep. But not in the cold stoic way, like in the just relaxed sort of way.
Like it's just like unfazed, like
relaxed, pleasant,
kind of like almost
easygoing.
A little humorous to it, like
maybe if you want to do that, sure. But like almost like you receive whatever that thing is, the stimuli is, while you're sitting on the beach sipping Mai Tais, right? Like
kind of like if she shit
tests
you and you're like calm and you joke it off. That's the same kind of like feeling that you get.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, look at her
but also like understanding where that comes from. All you're doing is just poking to see like, hey, is this solid? I really want it to be solid. Is this solid? And guys like take offense, like, oh, you're disrespecting me.
I tell guys like that's an opportunity. He's giving you an opportunity to show why you are the man, and you're mad at her for putting you in the game. You're an idiot. It's like, why are you mad at her for giving you the opportunity to shine? It's like an alley-oop, But
well, I see that I'm giving opportunity, but that's for another conversation.
Yeah, you're talking about something else. So, what is more powerful in masculine leadership? Is it force or consistency?
Oh, geez, I thought you were going to say power.
I know.
So
I was going to, but I switch it up.
Yeah. Well, consistency is obviously, and I would say that consistency is probably a form of power. And so to explain this, force is a direction, right? Force is like a very like straight ahead direction. Like a punch, right? Punch is forceful, but power doesn't have a direction or defined shape. Okay. So like a battery has power. You know what I'm saying? A dam has power. It's like it's potential energy. It can go do this, it can do that, it's transferable. So when a man has power, like that's what can be sensed. It's like I get the sense that he could be dangerous, but he's not, versus somebody who's forceful. They're like, oh, this guy's like clearly dangerous, but it's like two on the nose, right? And that's not scary. Like, if we're talking about like, archetypes, like Hannibal Lecter is way scarier than, like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Eat you.
Right.
While you're still alive.
Right. Like, but slowly, calmly, with poise and proper grammar.
Well, I've always said, like, I don't like people talk about pretty privilege or whatever. And I'm like, nah, like that's not the shit. Like the shit is being with a man who's a killer. Like he can walk in a room, his presence says everything. He doesn't have to say a word and everybody knows, wait, this guy looks like a killer. That's like the ultimate for a girl, because the way they talk to her, the way they move, like when I go to airports and things with my husband, it's a completely different scenario than if I go by myself.
Yeah, I don't trust her husband around a paper clip and a rubber band. Because I'm telling you, like he's gonna make a bomb out of it or something.
I was gonna ask.
That's true.
Can a guy be soft spoken and still be dominant? But you prove that, like you can be soft spoken and dominant, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I don't raise my voice. I think raising your voice is a sign of weakness. And I think I learned that from my own dad. Because it's like he was the type of dude, like I remember I didn't fuck up a lot. So when I did, it stood out quite a bit because my nervous system wasn't conditioned for it. And I remember coming into the living room and he's just sitting in the chair and he just looks at me as I walk in and I'm like, oh, and that felt like a 10-foot spear just slowly being driven through my chest. And that's way more imposing than raising his voice, shouting at me, because I can brace for that. You know what I'm saying? Like I can brace my nervous system for that attack. But how do you brace for the slow blade? You know what I'm saying? Like from Dune, the slow blade that pierces the armor. It's like you can't brace for that. It just pierces you.
Yeah.
You know, and you can do nothing about it. And that's the difference between having force and power with a woman. When you have power, you just can pierce her when necessary. And she's like, oh, like just straight through the gut. And there's nothing that she can do about it. And, when it's called for, obviously.
Yeah. What destroys masculine authority the fastest?
Oh, seeking permission. Seeking permission to lead, right? Because that means like I'm not counting on myself. All the chips are not on me. I'm putting some chips in front of her and saying like, will you bet on me too? And that means I'm uncertain. I'm not putting all the chips on me. I need the certainty to come from you too. I need your help so that I can feel better about doing the job that you really want me to do. And that's
my time to lead.
Second, what?
Is it, can I have my balls so I can lead? Is it my turn to lead now?
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's really like asking permission.
If permission destroys it, then what builds it the quickest?
Builds authority?
What builds masculine the strong, like authority the strongest?
Yeah. Would you say it's the opposite of permission? It's actually being very decisive and knowing exactly
trusting yourself despite not knowing the outcome. Okay. So again, like that sitting in tension, being okay fucking up. Like you make a bad call and you're like, hey, you know what? I think we should, like book these flights for you. And they ended up being $400 more than they would have been on another flight. Sit on it. Accept every single one of your choices as just plain truth, objective, like plain objectivity. And you don't like get bogged down. You say, hey, you know what? I own it. And that's it. You don't get sad. You don't look for her to console you. Oh, baby, it's okay. Everybody makes mistakes. No, fuck that. You just look at it as pure objectivity. And the same for the positive. Okay. Yeah. Because you can be thrown off your square by good and bad things.
Yeah.
So you don't follow your joy either. You know, like, oh, I
Mhm.
fucking made the greatest. Oh, another shit. Ha ha. You know, like you don't do that either,
Don't gas
right?
yourself up. Just like
Nope,
take it as
nothing.
good.
It's
Yeah.
it's staying being still. And so that's one of the best ways is you're basically showing yourself that you're not thrown by anything up or anything down, and you're showing her that she can't throw you up or down. And that's one of the quickest ways to build authority, but not necessarily the easiest way, because that
Um,
requires a lot of work
Consistency, right?
internally. Absolutely.
yeah.
There's a lot of consistency and like just repetitive, like just being that guy day in and day out.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
no mishaps.
There's no days off
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
Like if you want to be a leader of like guys, like if you want to be a leader of women or of a woman, there is no days off. You don't get any days off. She might make it easier for you. Like, hey, can I rub your feet? Can I rub your head? Can I do something for you? Can I be quiet and let you take a nap? Like she can make it easier, but you don't get any days off ever.
Mhm.
Oh, well, thank you, Coach Justin. This has been like a really amazing, like I've learned a lot in this session. I appreciate you coming out and having this conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Of
And
course.
we only just scratched the surface, obviously.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know,
Coach
like we
talked a
just
lot.
barely hit the tip. Like we just did the tip, just the tip.
Yeah,
And no
we just
pause.
tipped the tip. Yeah.
Just tip the tip. But you know what? So Justin, I got a question for you. I'm gonna wrap up after this. So when I'm looking at floggers, do I want like the one with the leathers, or like do I want like the cat nine tails? Like which one is actually going to give her the most discipline? And I'm asking for a friend, like because like so I heard somebody needs to get their ass in the kitchen, and so I'm just trying to help a friend out just in case they need to get her ass in the kitchen. Is it the cat nine tails or like which one do you think is best?
Well, I would first